Okay, ladies and gentlemen, welcome along to another episode of A Slice of Golf. And our slot in the UK golf is well and truly back, or at least that has been for one of us in the group. The other two of us are still waiting to get back out on the course, but I can only speak for myself, but there's been a lot of practice going on, a lot of crap, but there's been a lot of practice going on. Someone who did step out on the course this week, Mr. Timothy Williams. Let's get straight to it, big guy, because I've been looking forward to this one. How did it go? What happened? Where did you play? Go.
So first things first, it was so good to be out and just playing. We played Gatton Manor on Saturday afternoon. Great weather, slightly chilly, but it was about sort of 10, 11 degrees, sun out. So good day for golf. And I thought in advance, you know what, whatever happens today, it's just the fact you're going to be out with some mates playing golf. Just the best thing in the world. We won't worry too much about the score because there's literally nothing to talk about. It was funky. There was some funky stuff going on.
Let's just recap. We said last time, first time out, what score would you be kind of happy with? Your answer was 28 points, if I remember rightly. So are you saying you didn't get that or even close to that?
I did not get that.
Okay, fine.
I did not get that. And
did we break 20?
Sorry?
Did we break 20?
Yeah. 20.
Okay,
yeah.
All right.
I think it rapidly turned into an elongated practice session, if I'm honest, the whole round. Because two things became very apparent. Yeah, pretty early on. Was first one's first. I just need more practice before I go back to being where I was before lockdown happened. And the second thing is, really importantly, don't try and embed new swing thoughts and new things into your game during lockdown without actually hitting balls. Really important.
Yeah. As in, talk me through this. Were you like in your living room just grinding out like different swing thought patterns? Just
pretty much because so I've done a bit of a Rory and I've been trying to get more speed into my swing, which basically meant that I can't remember. So the pod that we had a few weeks ago, we had it with Steve Furlonger. If you've not listened, by the way, go check it out. Brilliant podcast. Some really good stuff in there. And one of the things in that was really trying to transition and start moving your hips forward, kind of even before the backswing starts, and almost feeling like you're turning your swing into a bit of a top spin forehand in tennis.
Yeah.
All those things I've been trying to bed in. And what was the other thing? Oh, also trying to get a bit more into out with my swing. All those things I've been sort of practicing, dummying, just trying to get those motions dialed in. And basically what they've materialized as is that I just flat out hook my irons when I do that.
Oh, God.
And as you two all know, hitting a hook with a driver is not something that you would associate with me normally. If anything, it's the opposite.
Giant slice.
Correct. So,
However, to throw a slightly positive spin on this, I always feel like if I'm hooks are just as demoralizing as slices, no doubt about it. However, a hook feels more like you've done more of the right things.
Oh, you'd rather.
When I hit a slice, I'm like, I don't even know where I'm going with this now.
You'd rather hit a hook.
I think that's because it comes back to, what's the bad shot you have when you first start? It's always a big hideous slice, isn't it? Whereas if you get it moving from right to left, I think I agree with you on that. Yeah.
So generally speaking, Gatton Manor, not a forgiving course off the tees in any way, shape or form.
There's never a hole. Okay, so one you do have, but no, it's not recoverable. There's not like two holes next to each other very often, is there? So you can't balloon one over the trees and just go recover it. It doesn't happen.
It's on reflection, it's probably not the best course to play as your first round back because it really does demand accuracy.
Yeah.
I would say, there was a healthy number of times I was 3 off the tee and you just can't score well. You can't score well when you do that. Aside from that, you know what? Irons are pretty good. Putting was good. I chipped in, so that was lovely.
Always good.
So there's some stuff that's working. So you know what I've looked at that as okay. First round back is what it is. Didn't get annoyed. Kind of enjoyed it. You know, you laugh at the bad shots. What it did do was give me a good idea of okay. So that's what's kind of going on with your swing at the moment. Go away. You know how to fix it. Just concentrate on the next couple of range sessions on fixing it. So I went to the range on Monday and looked at a few things to work on, and yeah, seemed to be going much better. So I'm actually approaching this Friday's round still in pretty good spirits, all things considered. So yeah, no, it was a good day out. We won't talk about the scoring, but a good learning experience.
It's good to be back on the course, I can imagine.
Great to be back.
Yeah, jealousy levels were exceptionally high. We kind of knew things weren't going too great when, if you're listening to this, we have an Instagram account and for our group, which you should definitely follow as well. It was on the Frey Ventos, wasn't it? The stories. I don't even know what they're. So, yeah, normally when a group of us go out, there'll be like a lot of videos for the day, lots of videos, especially if there's some average golf going, because we like to capture the crap shots, the awkward shots. The video stopped after 6 little snippets, and I thought, this means it's going one way for everybody and one way badly. How did everyone else play? Were they equally atrocious?
So I was a 3-ball. There was one player who was kind of similar to me, scored a bit better than me, but between the two of us, we were pretty similar. And just another member who just
really struggled.
Tough day on the links. I think that's all. I'm not going to go into.
Tough day.
Yeah, some sums up the lack of social media interaction for the day. We'll let you off. No, glad to be back out, Mr. Wright. What's been going on in the golfing world this past week?
We haven't done a pod since we went to the range, have we?
No, we haven't. No.
So
do we want to talk about that?
Yeah, we'll talk about it. So after Ben's 34 range sessions prior, he then invited me to come to the range with him.
I've had one. He's chatting absolute waffle. I'd had one.
It was great to see another human being outside, and that was it was lovely. So it was good to see you, Ben, not behind a computer screen for once. And the first 2 shots went about as well as they could expect. I think the first one I popped about 12 yards. Was on. Ben was filming. Second one, it wasn't as bad, but still a rubbish shot. And then eventually kind of got a bit of a golf swing back. And we decided to play a lovely. I don't think we quite made 18 holes because Ben beat me by a huge margin. We played 18 holes at St Andrews on the L course on the virtual golf. Is that what we call it? Top Tracer, which by the way is excellent. We had a bay each and just each played the course. Ben, I think, was 5 up at the turn, which was a bad start. Ben, although putting this into perspective, you were on like 7 under your handicap at the turn or something, weren't you? You
I was striking the ball quite well. It was 7 under, which again, you kind of start rubbing your eyes when you start seeing that on the screen. Like, this is broken.
Yeah. Also, we know that wouldn't happen in real life. So, but there were some. All I'm going to say is Ben hit some. By the way, Tim, I hate to say it, but Ben hits the ball. He's hitting the ball a fucking long way, like really long way, which shows that his speed training is probably working. However, when it goes wrong, I mean, it goes really fucking wrong. Like it goes so far right. Like you just. And luckily, St Andrews apparently very open according to virtual golf. And also, when you land in what can only be described as thick bushes and trees, apparently that doesn't affect you on virtual golf because Ben was just hitting 6-iron out and onto the green and loving life. So, question that the play on the St Andrews is just playing to the bushes. But other than that, yeah, he deserved to win for sure. Not discounting that. But no, very enjoyable. Really enjoyed that. It got me. I was the same, Tim. I was hooks, like off the with the driver. But no, pleased to be out. Pleased to be swinging a golf club and looking forward to it. Definitely, I didn't snap in half as I thought I would. I didn't ache too much or anything like that. So yeah, I also am a bit panicking though, because I had a range session booked in for tomorrow, which I now am unable to do. And I don't quite know how or where I'm going to sneak in another range session before Friday morning.
Oh, crikey.
So I'm panicking slightly. Yeah, I'm nervous for sure.
Okay.
But we are, by the way, do we mention it? The three of us are playing on Friday. Where are we playing? Selsdon Park.
So we're playing Selsdon Park. Now, we mentioned at the top about Instagram stories. I think it's probably fair to say that we will be sharing stuff on the Slice of Golf Instagram channel on Friday. So if you want to follow us along, just sign up to the page, give us a follow. We'll be putting it all on stories. We'll document the round as we go around, warts and all. Very much warts and all. There will be all the bad stuff. So don't worry. It's not a case of we just showing the good stuff. In fact, there's probably going to be more of the bad stuff than good stuff we put up. We probably won't show the good shots, in all honesty.
In fact, when you're in a tricky situation and someone just flushes a shot exactly where it's supposed to go, we often delete that video because we're like, we don't want to say that because that's
bad content.
That's poor content. It is literally, so the Instagram handle is A Slice of Golf.
Yeah. So
come along and follow us, and follow along on Friday morning. Give us some banter, message us, let us know as we're going around. We'll tune in and read it as well. So
it won't coincide with the Masters, don't worry. It's a 10:40 tee off time, so you can watch our averageness live, and then you can watch how proper golfers play when that starts at 2 o'clock on Friday.
I'm excited. I literally can't remember Selsdon Park. I can remember the first tee shot, and then apart from that, I cannot remember it. So I'm looking forward to getting out on a course I haven't played in a long time.
I quite like it. There's a lot of variety. It's a good challenge. So yeah, and particularly after 3 months off, I'm hoping it's going to be in good nick. So yeah, God, I can't wait to get back out on the golf course. So I've had, since the last podcast, I've had 3 range sessions. So that takes me up to a total of 4. So feeling pretty good, although I did move into my new flat. So I'm finally back adulting again and not living life like a teenager. Moved up to London.
Not living life like a teenager, except for the fact of those 4 range sessions, how many can you remember and why?
Well, this is where it was going. It was so I moved in on Sunday, and as you know, lovely weather, and sat out on the balcony. And as was accustomed, we were like, "Oh, we'll have a couple of beers, we'll celebrate." Those couple of beers very quickly ended up in being a 2 a.m. PGA Tour 2K21 session, and I got a knock on my door. It must have been 10 o'clock Monday. So for those of you listening abroad, it was a bank holiday here, so it was a public holiday, so I wasn't supposed to be at work. We celebrated a little bit too hard. We were at the driving range. I don't remember a whole lot, and I was half asleep.
Were you a danger to anybody else there, is my first question.
Well, no. In actual fact, I think it didn't go too badly.
Okay.
But yeah, I just, it was one of those, literally nothing gained, but nothing lost from it, because I can't really remember it a whole lot. Hit a few golf balls, came home, and pretty much went straight back to bed. That was about how it went for both of us. So we had at North Greenwich, you have a bay for an hour and you get 120 balls. So we were like, we'll go for 2 hours. We'll have 240 balls. We probably left 100 balls because both of us were like, no, let's just call it there and go back to bed. We both felt awful. So that's where we left it, and where we're heading into. I've got a round in the diary on Thursday and on Friday. So
where are you playing Thursday?
Big wide open field, the home of golf, Chelswood Lakes. So just to get the iron, a nice little gentle opener, and then the big one on Friday. So preparation for me has been pretty good. So I'm going to say no excuses Friday, but we'll see.
I'm going to have literally all the excuses for Friday. So I'm coming loaded.
Yeah, so come check us out on Friday. Like Tim said, check us out on the Instagram. You'll see some action. Let's put it that way. Right, chaps, talking about some action. There was a lot going on both the female side and the male side in the golfing world. Let's address the female side of the game, because it was their first major of the year, the ANA Inspiration. First of all, there was one very big thing missing from this year's tournament. Did either of you two spot it?
You dropped this cryptic clue to me earlier.
Oh, are you talking about the backboard?
The massive, great big blue backboard.
Okay. Yeah. Sorry, I was thinking about this way too deep.
Yeah. Are we talking about a player? Or are we talking about something else? Yeah, you're talking about.
It was quite a big thing that was missing, and I think it's firm acceptance that the LPGA really did cock that one up. We'll get there for one day. Listen to everyone. Got rid of it.
They listened to our moan about it last time.
There you go. That's probably what it is.
A backboard on an island. What is it? Island green? Like
just. I mean, I don't know how much of you boys watched it. I have to admit, didn't watch a ton, just because, you know, as you can imagine, moving weekend, there was a lot going on in my life this weekend. I didn't watch a whole lot of golf, but I'm probably going to balls up her name, but Patty Tavatanakit. No, Tavatanakit. Got it.
It's a good effort.
My apologies.
Well done.
This is going to be a consistent theme with where we go tonight, but she won on 18 under. Okay, excellent score, by the way. The golf course as well, sensational. Took the win by 2. So yeah, those numbers kind of come into it a little bit later on. Also, continuing on, a great season for the Corders. I don't know whether you both saw. Nelly Corder came 3rd. Really, you know, great golf from them too. And I think Jess came down. I think she was 30th around that position as well. So again, both made the cut. Both played really, really well. Did you see much of it?
No, I did not watch any golf this weekend, men or women.
Yeah, no, with it being Easter weekend, it was pretty packed in terms of just trying to not be in front of the TV, basically. Again, if you're listening abroad, we've had there was a stage 2, if you like, of restrictions being eased in England and in large parts of the UK. So it was an opportunity for us to kind of get out of the house. So no, it didn't see a huge amount, I'm afraid.
Cool. No,
I'll tell you what women's golf I did watch a bit of last week. The women's amateur at Augusta.
I did not.
Which when I saw that it was at Augusta National, I was like, hold the phone. The women get an amateur event there, which already blew my mind a little bit. But they don't get a professional event there.
Oh yeah, it has to be paving the way. Surely that has to be.
I mean, I'm about to unleash a bit of a tirade on the LPGA for something else, but I could quite easily go into them on this as well.
I don't think it's the LPGA's fault.
I think this time.
Fair. Yeah, okay, fair point.
And I think Augusta doesn't have the greatest track record for prehistoric rules. So,
where I was really going with that was, so this is amateur, so there was loads of like college. So we're talking, I don't know, like 18 to 24-year-olds. There was some outstanding golf. I was watching it just going, you're hitting the ball so far, just exactly where you want it to. And I was like, you're not a pro. You are college level, making this game look not easy, but just clearly having a wonderful time on the golf course. I think they played a couple of different courses. I don't think it was just at Augusta. But I was just like, it was a really, really good. It was actually really fun to watch, and it was just like, okay, these are the next generation of female stars coming through, and it was good. Worth watching the highlights for sure.
Mm. I'm assuming Augusta was looking perfect as well in time for the Masters. Talking kind of about golf, we'll bring it a little bit closer to home first of all before we go back to kind of what Tim touched upon. But announcement over the last few days that the Rose Ladies Series is going to return for 2021, which is great. So
awesome.
Justin Rose and his wife in the past year, because of the pandemic, the Ladies European Tour saw a massive decrease in tournaments, for those who didn't know. So they lay on a bunch of one-day events. So this year they've actually increased it to 11 events, which is cool, and increased the prize money as well. So it's clearly, it probably started off as like a just doing a good thing for the game. And in actual fact, sponsors have gone, yeah, we want a piece of this. Let's get behind it. So I think that's great. It's great from Justin, great from his wife, and good for the ladies' game. Right. Now, digging back into what Tim started on. Now, this is something I just saw, was scrolling through Instagram, and it just made me stop because of the headline. I thought, no, hold on, that can't be right, because I thought that was brutal. So LPGA Tour player, she's a rookie, Yalimi No, was fined $10,000. $10,000 for slow play, which is going back to the week prior to the major. Timbo, I'll let you introduce a little bit more from there.
So it's fair to say this has had me quite angry for the last week, and that's put it mildly. And I apologise to Ben and Chris because I've kind of been just inundating them with angry, outraged messages for the past week. But yeah, you're absolutely right. So yeah, let me know. Find $10,000 for slow play at the recent Kia Open. Now, as you mentioned, she's 19 years old, and she received the first warning last year for slow play. This is her second warning. So for the event in question, so she made the cut and she finished tied for 61st place. So she earned $4,247 for that place. So if you're doing quick maths, that means that for her efforts that weekend where she made the cuts, that means she finished on negative $5,750.
Not including travel, entry fees, accommodation, etc.
Yep.
Yeah.
So out of the 20% or whatever.
So as mentioned, she's 19 years old. This was her 27th event in 3 years. So she's clearly still completely paving her way. And the reason it was so the first fine that she got for slow play last year was for $2,500 dollars. Now, because she received a secondary fine less than 12 months later, the fine was doubled. So the figure was a cumulative figure and then doubled, which is where you get up to the $10,000 fine. And this got me furious for two reasons. As mentioned, she's widely seen as a super promising young rookie. Now, so far in 2021, she's played 3 events. She's made the cut in every one of them. Her earnings for the year to date, not as Chris says, this doesn't factor in anything else at all. This is purely from the events. $15,700. Okay. So you take that fine that she's got. That is a 64% reduction in her earnings for the year. How is it justifiable?
We are now in the 4th month of the year, and she has basically earned what she has. How I don't get it. Sorry, Tim.
How did the LPGA justify doing that to a young player that's trying to make their way in the game and sleep at night? We know, and we'll come on to talk about this, that slow play, fine, it has to be eradicated from the game. But you don't do it by wiping out 64% of a player's earnings for a year. That is unacceptable.
I'm 100% on your side here, Jimbo. You might be going to come on to this. Are we going to talk about the men's fines?
That's exactly where I'm going now.
Okay, fine. Because this is what blew my mind.
The second reason I get so angry is because I looked at the penalty rules in the men's game at the same time, because I was wondering, I'm getting angry about this, but maybe the situation is exactly the same in the men's game, and I don't know, maybe I was being optimistic when I thought that. So basically, in the men's game, excessive shot times, which is basically the penalty that No was hit with. So it's $10,000 for a first offence, and it's $20,000 for a second offence. So it is more, but let's do a side-by-side comparison. So as mentioned, No finished 61st in the Kia Classic. If we look at a broadly comparable event on the men's tour, let's take the Genesis Open. Same sort of, both in California. Keegan Bradley finished 61st in that event this year. He took home $21,000. So even if he'd been hit with the maximum fine that the PGA hit their players, he would still go home at the end of that weekend having made money. So if the fines were comparable to the earnings and proportionate, maybe I wouldn't have a leg to stand on, but they simply aren't. No. The penalties they're imposing do not match up to what they are earning on the tour. So again, how did the LPGA justify it? It's just made me super cross over the last week because it just blows my mind.
And it's also like, I mean, I haven't seen the incident, so I can't say how long she took, whether it was a repeat offence due to multiple actions during the round. But we've all watched golf recently where we've gone, this is a bit slow. A lot of what was going on with social media for the WGC match play was just, I don't want to say abuse, but people pissed off that the matches were so slow. I mean, example, I think it was in the semis. They were just about to take their approach shots onto the green. And I remember the commentators saying, so far to this point, a group of 2 with no one else on the course, it's taken them 4 hours to play. And you're like, hold up. When I read that the other day, how slow was she playing? Or
do we actually know that?
Different rules for the guys? Yeah, I don't know.
I almost don't even want to know the answer because that's not the discussion here. Slow play, not allowed. We all agree with that. What we're talking about here is the level of punishment for it, and it doesn't make any sense. Like, how can I don't understand how you can reduce her earnings by 70% or whatever it was for the year. 20 grand for most of the men in that top 100, maybe not 100. I don't know. I don't know. I mean, really, it's going to be nothing.
Yeah.
Like, it's just not a punishment that makes to knock off like 60. What do you say, Tim? 65% of someone's
64%
for the year. That's I kind of get the point of view of you see it happen to someone once and no one will ever do it again. They've done a good job of making a real kind of using her as teach everybody a lesson here.
But then if that's the case, you don't do it to a rookie who's 19 years old.
No, I don't think you can't. You couldn't do it to someone who is a seasoned pro. Like, it's the bit that really annoys me is the men to women.
Yeah. And the double standards there are mental.
I cannot fathom how you can't have comparable punishments. It's like they got in a room and they went 10 grand for slow play. Yeah, sounds reasonable, great. And everyone just went, yeah, sounds good. No questions were asked. No one talked about anything. Just someone went, yeah, just sign that off. That'll be good. That'll be good for everybody. Like, there was just no thought. I don't know. I can't fathom.
For someone who is a rookie, someone who is that young, I can't say I know her background. That could literally be the difference between her being a professional still and not. Because if that means that she can't afford to make it to the next tournament or to a certain number of tournaments to keep her card for the following year, that's how nuts it is. 10 grand to someone like Dustin Johnson, needle in a haystack. Not an issue.
I'm going to live with you. This is a great metaphor for golf in general. Like, I honestly, I think golf generally is getting better, but has a really bad rep for welcoming new people to the game, right? And I just think it's a great metaphor for what exactly it's like. Yeah, you're new. You're like, let's punish you. Let's make sure that you don't enjoy the game and you don't get involved in the game for a long time. It's just bonkers.
And also, you're kind of talking double standards. I mean, it relates back to, look, I don't really know the full story, so we don't know the ins and outs of how long she actually took. But if she'd have gone on to win the tournament, would they have still penalised her? Or would that have been bad PR to have the winner of the tournament being slapped with a fine? Again, this is hypotheticals, but we've watched golf tournaments where people have spoken about how long Bryson takes to take a shot. But because he's a big name, they're not going to slap him with a fine. I wonder if that's comparable.
I just have to ask, I've not even heard of anyone in the men's leagues being given a fine.
I'm sure it must have happened, but I can't think of a time it has. I mean, it kind of goes back to Spieth at the Open, right? Was it 15 or 16 when he 24 minutes in between his first and second shot.
But again, because it's high profile and because he was top of the table, top of the leaderboard, ready to go on and win the tournament, I wonder whether it was no, we're not. We're gonna swerve that one because that's bad PR for the.
And you know what? I've not done. I've had a good look at this, but I've by no means done a exhaustive study on who's been fined, who hasn't, the men's game, women's game. you know what? If we've gone too far down a rabbit hole on this, and we're sensationalizing this, and it's not the case, and we're getting the wrong end of the stick, please let us know. Like, I'm willing to be educated, but all I'm seeing is the facts I've looked at and I've researched, and it just makes me feel super uncomfortable. But you know what? I'll be optimistic. Hopefully, it's not as bad as I'm making out. If it's not, get in touch. Let us know. Because I'd love to be proved wrong and to hear that we've got the wrong end of the stick on this. But unfortunately, my sense is telling me that we probably do have the right end of the stick on this one. But if that's not the case, let us know, or just let us know your feelings.
Yeah, I wonder whether if it happens quite a bit on the PGA Tour. We just don't hear about it because comparative to their actual salary and tournament earnings, it's a snip. And again, I think that then brings in another question. And again, we've pretty much touched upon it, but like, why? Why so much? She's not even covered the cost of her being in the tournament. It's just
do a percentage of earnings if you're going to do money as a fine, like, or something. Like, don't do. Oh yeah.
Well, surely you just make it proportionate to the purse of the event. Surely.
It has to be a percentage, right? It has to be a percentage. Yeah.
Right. And again, we could go on all day, but addressing it, because it got me thinking. A big focus point for 2021 was to try and speed up play. And even going back a year, that's why it was encouraged that the flag was to be left in to encourage, particularly amateurs, to try and speed up play. But do we think the game has changed at all because of the implementation of things to speed up play? I can't remember watching a tournament thinking, "Cool, yeah, they're playing really quick," outside of the players you'd expect to play fast.
Certainly not on the pros. No. I think. Sorry, Chris, I kind of interrupted, but I feel like we might possibly be the same thing. I think on the amateur game, I if anything, it has got faster rather than slower, and I think that may be just because of the sheer volume of people on golf courses right now. In that you do get a bit of a hurry up, and you can't take 10 minutes in the rough looking for a ball. You've probably got a 4-ball behind you. But certainly on the pros, no, I don't get any sense that the game is speeding up, or that enough is being done to stop slow play.
I would agree with that. Anything to add, Chris?
No, the game is, if anything, in my opinion, getting slower. It might just be that I'm only seeing more and more really annoying American coverage of the game, and they're not actually showing players' shots. And I did say last week of the match play, I was like, was it just because we were looking at 4 players out on the course where normally we've got 70? But when you say, they were taking 4 hours and they only got to wherever it was, I'm like, that's quadruple. That's just wildly unacceptable, isn't it? How does it get to that point?
Yeah. I started thinking about, okay, what would be simple fixes to get them to speed up? And in theory, there's a shot clock. I don't know who manages this shot clock, whether it is an actual clock or whether it's just we put it in the rules, and we'll throw that at them if we feel like they're taking a long time. But I can't help but think actually having a clock and letting players know you've addressed your ball, you found your ball, you stood over your ball, you have 3 minutes to take your shot. I cannot help but think that would speed players along.
I'm not sure if you're hinting at this or if you just haven't seen it. This is an actual tournament, right? What you're describing.
Oh yeah, it's
called the Shot Clock Masters, right? And it's only happened a few times, I think. And I don't think it happened last year because of COVID. It's in Austria, I think. And every player, there is literally a shot clock on a buggy that follows the group round. And you have this, by the way, this is the solution. This is 100% the solution.
Yeah.
And I actually think this is an excellent format. Literally every group has a big giant shot clock that follows them around. Every player has 40 seconds to hit their shot. Apart from the first player has an extra 10 seconds. So get to the ball. Player number 1 has 1 minute or 50 seconds, whatever. As soon as he's hit, player 2 has 40 seconds from that point to take their shot. So theoretically, you all get up, you've all got, X amount of time you've still got long enough to go 6 iron, great, perfect. And it reduced, here, I've got it here. It reduced the average playing time on tour from 4 hours 47 minutes to 4 hours 13. So we're knocking off, a good chunk of time here, like per group. What is that? That's like half an hour or so. A little bit more from just having the shot clock, which shows you how quickly they can play. In year 2, the actual average score dropped as well, i.e. the scores got better, but obviously there's a lot of things that could be a factor of that. And what were the other stats from this? Billy Horschel loved the idea, by the way. He was very vocal about that. I don't think he played in it, but he was very vocal about enjoying that. And I think, for me, I have no issue with that. Zero, I have, 40 seconds when you were watching it. There was one player. I can't remember what the punishment was. I think it was a penalty shot if you went over your time. I think it was a 1 penalty shot every time. So if you broke it one, or it might have even been 2. Can't remember.
Well, there you go. There has to be a somewhat of a shot clock in golf at the moment for the lady we just spoken about. For her to get fined, there has to be have had some form of shot clock, so some way to measure that she'd been playing slow. And I don't know why it's not implemented.
Can I just say, I can't remember how many, but each player got a set number of timeouts. So if they were in a particular tricky thing, they could say, "Hey, can I have a timeout?" And they got an extension to their.
I just wonder whether that would start getting too gimmicky, though.
Yeah.
So that's why I think instead of 40 seconds, have it at 2 or 3 minutes. The 2 other things that I have.
Who needs 3 minutes to figure out what club they're going to hit?
If you, watch the pros. If you've got one of those, remember the player cam you used to be able to get on Sky Sports. If you were to watch one player, the amount of faffing that they do.
This is what I mean. You want to reduce the time they spend on the course, right? You want to increase the speed. So put it, sure, maybe not. Honestly, watching it at 40 seconds, I was a bit like, there was one player that hit 0, and you're like, hit it, and it hit 0. But I think, sure, make it a minute.
Yeah.
But and give the first player a bit of extra time to once they got to their ball, sure. But I think that I would have no issue with that.
And then it's actually enforcing it as well. It's right. Don't bottle it. Don't just say we've got an X shot clock, but we're a bit loose with those rules.
I mean, I suspect that in any walk of golf, whether you're a pro, whether you're an amateur, deep down, when you're taking longer than you should, right? To find a ball, take your shot, deep down. Now, if we were having this conversation, I don't know, 18 months ago, 24 months ago, we might think, there's a few problems with getting a shot clock on. We know, right, that whether it be through the Amazon deal that's happened with the PGA, whereby every single player is now filmed in their entirety and followed by coverage in their entirety.
Oh no!
It's gone.
He was such good momentum. Everyone is hanging on. They're like, "Oh my god, Tim's about to make a really good point," and the internet has. Oh my word, Ben! I'm not joking. For everyone listening, before the show, Tim said to me, he was like, "Just to let you know, at 34 minutes past the hour, every 2 hours." My laptop goes into a meltdown mode. It is 9:34.
So it could be a few minutes until Tim's back. So no, there were 2 other bits that I wrote down. That I was like, look, they could immediately speed up the pace of play, and think how often it pans to a player, and you've got his caddy or her caddy pacing it back from a bunker or pacing it forward from a sprinkler head. Just give everyone a rangefinder.
Well, they are, aren't they? They're actually
on a European tour, but it's not confirmed. I don't think it's confirmed PGA. I'm just like, just bring it in.
I thought it was.
We don't really benefit that much from it. It gives you the distance, which ultimately is what the caddy's doing walking back from something. And you've just saved at least 30 seconds there. And then the other one, as Tim comes back in, I'll let him I'll finish off with my bit and I'll let him build up. And the final one is kind of stuff that they've been talking about recently, is remove the green books. Because when you watch players, they open up, they look at the green book, then they look around the green, they get their lineup, and then they go, right, I'm just going to have one more look at the green book.
Yeah.
And then they set to go. So those would be, my three.
I 100% agree. I would 100% put a shot clock on everyone, like an actual. I can understand your worry about it being a bit gimmicky, but I genuinely think it would improve the game.
Every match has a referee, right, at the top level. There's no reason why they can't just have a discrete clock on them, a discrete stopwatch. You don't even need to have a big clock that pops up on the TV. Just something.
No, I like that. Have a countdown clock, right? I want to see them get to 0 seconds and get their one. I don't want any risk of being like, that felt like more than 40 seconds. Are you going to find him his shot? And then, because there's too much. I don't know. That for me is too dodgy. Have a big clock. Have a big clock. As soon as the break gets through there, 2-shot penalty or whatever it is, great, done.
Brilliant.
Your rate finders, 100%. I've seen them talking about bringing those in on the tour. Agreed. Bring those in. Just allow them to get the actual yardage from where they are. They're spending it long enough working out anyway. And we've spoken about green reading books, and we know just get rid of. You're supposed to be able to look at a green and read it. That's part of the skill of being a pro golfer. Just do that. Get rid of the green books for sure.
Chris loves a big clock. Good work, pal. Tim Williams.
So, firstly, my apologies. Captain Wi-Fi cuts out again.
9:34. 9:34.
Told you. So where I was going with it is, so with the for those of you that know, the Amazon deal that's been struck with the PGA in the States. Very quickly wrap this up because I don't know how much you guys talked about. But the deal the Amazon have with PGA is that every player is now followed completely, exclusively by one stream of coverage. So every single player, every action is now recorded. Quite simply put, I don't think you necessarily need to follow them around with a big clock, because I would rather put the emphasis on the player themselves, self-regulating themselves. So where I came back to saying was, I think as a player, when you're, let's be honest, taking the piss a little bit with your pace of play and how long you're taking. But so I think what you do, you have the usual graphics on screen that you have around your player, number of shots, position in the field, whether the leader or not. You then have time in between shots, sponsored by Rolex or whoever. Lovely bit of additional funding for the PGA, bit of extra sponsorship. Job done.
I love that.
But what you do is you don't necessarily follow them around with a big clock, because you put the emphasis on them and also their caddy. Because let's not forget, it's also the role of the caddy to be advising them on the plays of their players, not just on the player themselves. Now, the reason I like this is because, firstly, any exploitation or slow play is completely documented. It's there. It's on the stream. You can see it for yourself. The second bit is it puts the emphasis on the player to speed up, so they actually feel compelled to do it themselves. Now, if you get to the end of a day's play and you find that they have gone over that, over that time limit, let's say twice, then I think you're in the position of saying, right, maybe after you do it on one occasion, you get a warning. Then the second time you do it, you're then talking about a 2-stroke penalty, let's say. Third time you do it, you're then on to penalty. You're then on to actual financial penalties.
So that's where I like these stroke penalties, because that in itself is going to be a financial penalty, and that's what I had a problem with the LPGA situation, because I'm like, if you were to relegate her 2 places because of adding on another stroke for slow play, well then she's still not going to be negative money for the week. And I think that just makes more sense, because naturally, we all know the money system, you're rewarded for the way you play. So
shots makes much more sense, because 2 shots in the men's game between say 10th position and let's maybe 15th position could be huge. That we're talking.
Well, remember what I said, it was a couple of weeks ago at the Players, Westwood's putt difference of 700,000.
Yeah, unbelievable, right? One stroke, and that essentially solves it being a proportion, a percentage, Tim, as well. So I think the shots make sense. I just honestly, I think if you go down the route of self-policing, you've got Bryson, who comes up with, yeah, but I walk quicker between my shots than everybody else.
There's no there. You just have no mitigating factors. It is the time is the time. There is no mitigating. It's the same for everybody. You can't have mitigation.
Everyone. So what you're saying, so make sure I understand. Everyone has a set time.
Correct.
But it's not visible to them on a big giant shot clock.
Correct.
They just have to wear a stopwatch and
you put it. Well, look, the caddy can time it.
So you're saying put a time. So you get to the ball, you've actually got a time. We can see it on the Rolex advertising on our TV screens.
Yep.
But it's not.
Your caddy should see it. Because caddy should just have it on them. If they're a good caddy.
If they've, like I said, if we were to give everyone a rangefinder, where is there ever an excuse? There's now not an excuse. You know, because you take out the question of yardages, and everyone. Well, we all know our stock yardages for clubs. You can imagine what the pros are like, because the caddies go, that's 170. Bang, here you go, hit that.
You do also get the added quirk of Chris that no, the players themselves won't have visibility of the shot clock, but we will as the viewers.
Yeah, but I just think I'm thinking of pros having
Patrick Reed. he's going to be pushing those boundaries, buddy.
Well, my watch says I've only been 28 seconds, and you're telling me I've been a minute and a half.
You just have the official timekeeper. Job done.
So just have a giant shot clock.
You just want massive. Yeah, but then you're talking about how many playing groups have you got, and how many buggies do you need with clocks on?
But, I mean.
Mate, it's PGA Tour. There you go. Got plenty cash lying around.
It's not a chance for Rolex or whoever to get some marketing in. They're not going to pay for it, are they? It's going to be sponsorship money.
Exactly. Right, chaps, we'll end up going on all night.
Yeah.
There was a tournament that went on in the great state of Texas, and a Texan boy went on a bloody one, didn't he? Jordan Spieth is back in the winner's circle, chaps. Now, I don't know, it seems many moons ago, because I did mention it then, to take note of some numbers on the female win. Jordan Spieth won by 2 strokes and also shot 18 under par over the course of the week. Again, useless trivia, but I thought it was quite interesting. Here's an interesting stat for you. Putting stats. 72 holes of golf, 44 1-putts, 0 3-putts. Good Lord, Jordan Spieth is back in town, because he was quite errant off the tee as well. I remember watching it. God, he's hitting some balls out into the rough.
Now, I'm really pleased I put in my team for this week for the Masters.
It just, again, so I only watched Thursday, Friday, missed Saturday, Sunday because of the move. But it just looked like vintage Spieth of just off the tee, bit questionable, and all of a sudden he's whacking out of the rough over a tree and putting it to within 10 feet, and then he drains the putt, birdie. He's one of the few players that when you watch him do that, you're like, only he can do that. And I feel like it's a good sign heading into the Masters. A couple of times on commentary, the commentators did say a lot of the players quite like going to San Antonio because it's a really testing course and it plays somewhat similar to Augusta. So again, if you've not picked your DraftKings team yet, Jordan Spieth might not be a bad shout.
Because everybody else is picking him, so
yes, including us 3.
Yeah.
Missed the DraftKings episode, go check it out. Yeah, it's a good one. He beat Charlie Hoffman by 2. Again, just Charlie Hoffman just seems to go on and on and on. Doesn't win a whole lot, but just seems to be there and thereabouts, doesn't he? Another one that caught my eye was, he was in the final group, so no surprises. But Matt Wallace came in 3rd, 4 strokes off the lead. Great sign heading into the Masters. I know he's been playing a lot more golf out in the States. How much of the Valero Texas Open did we watch, Timbo? Again,
I saw a decent amount for the first day and a half. Then my fantasy golf team was rapidly going awry from me. So I'm going to be very, very honest and declare that I was slightly toys out the pram and didn't watch much more of it thereon. But I enjoy your stat very much, because you go back to Spieth when he was beginning to dominate the game sort of 4 years ago. His entire game is built on putting. I think once that putter gets dialed in, you know he's going to be there or thereabouts. And exactly like you say, he can tend to be wayward off the tee, but when the putter is on fire and the short game is on fire, that was the hallmark of when he was beginning to dominate at that time. So you're kind of almost, you've got that kind of full circle element to it. So I think it's great. I think it's a great story. It's great to have him back and winning again. He's obviously super well liked on tour because it's been this absolute sort of wave of people on tour who've been sort of putting notes out on social and congratulating him, which is great. So, we've been wanting it to happen for a good few months, I would say. So it's great that we knew he'd win again. So it's great to have him back.
I think there's a thing if he started putting a few tournaments together and you're like, yeah, he's playing well. He just needs that little bit more. He always looked like he was still thinking about some stuff in his backswing. And I think the last couple of tournaments I've watched him, and it looks like he's enjoying his golf again and not overthinking it. And that's where I may be completely off the mark here, but that's where I kind of feel like Rory's been at the past few weeks. He kind of just, every swing, I kind of feel like he's looking at it thinking.
Rory's had a change of coach now, hasn't he? So Rory is definitely everything about it, change of coach. But no, like Spieth, the last few months, I think what we saw this weekend was he learned how to win. Not learned, but he got the mojo back. He got the confidence back to win on a Sunday. And I think if you look at all his previous tournaments, I think a lot in the last couple of months, it's been like Thursday, Friday, Saturday, decent golf, and then Sunday just not quite like the old killer Spieth. And I think that was the difference this weekend. I mean, what better way to go into the Masters?
Oh yeah.
I really don't think he's the type of, well, maybe it's not the kind of tournament you go boozy for the last win. You kind of go, right, I've got my win. Let's go into the Masters and I'll celebrate that win later on. Yeah. So I don't think he's not. Where was it that Hatton won? And then just obviously it was on to the next week. It was Abu Dhabi or somewhere, wasn't it? I just thought.
I also don't suspect Spieth is a big one for the overseller.
Decent. Twice in one night.
Timbo's gone again. This is why.
But
he's COVID. We need to get somewhere where you can record in person. Tim's back. He looks like he's back.
I mean, how much stock he put in it, but he did come out afterwards and say he never doubted that he would be back, that he always knew it would come again. Now, obviously, you could be cynical about it and say, well, of course he's going to say that. They're always going to say that. But
I mean, Rory's, I don't know where my game's at. Got no idea.
Yeah, true. Rory, I don't care if I win another major.
Yeah.
But I kind of generally believe Spieth when he says it. I think he has got that kind of sense about him that this will come back. It may take longer than I thought it would, but it will come back. So I feel, you could go too far into hyperbole on this, but it's a good sign that at any level of the game you can go off the boil for a period of time. It's a game you can work at. You can come back, which I think that's great.
This might be a bit out there, but I feel like Ricky Fowler can take a leaf from Spieth's book.
Yes,
I feel like clearly both of them have gone through periods where they're trying to work on something so much so that they're detracting away from what was actually a strength. Putting stat that came up at the weekend, strokes gained putting 2016, I think it was. Ricky Fowler, number 1 on tour. I don't know whether you two saw it. What do you think he is 2021?
I reckon he's in the 150.
Yeah.
I think it was 179th.
Yeah, doesn't surprise me.
The guy is probably striking the ball very similar, probably hitting the ball off the tee very, very similar. Again, I'm kind of throwing this out there. But don't make your strength a weakness by focusing on so much, in another area. And I think that's possibly what Spieth's done. They probably sat down and gone, look, you're a brilliant putter. Let's get your putting back to where it was. Look at this weekend, as we just said, 44 1-putts, which is ridiculous. 0 3-putts. Then I kind of feel like
the dream, isn't it?
If Ricky gets to the stage where he's like that, he's clearly a good enough golfer to get the ball from tee to green. Final little bit on the Valero Texas Open. Sad to see, but also it was quite amusing to see. Did you see Phil Mickelson's 10 on 18.
I did not know.
There are some real Sunday League shots in there, let me tell you. Crikey.
Really? Okay.
Yeah,
But,
it's well worth checking out.
But with all that, still one putted.
yeah. Just
and it was an incredible putt.
Yeah.
So fair play. I mean, admittedly, it took you 9 shots to get there, but
there was some questionable shots in the mix as well.
Yeah,
something that I wouldn't be surprised to see on Friday. I'm not going to lie.
I think I hit one of them on Saturday. Like the duck tip, I definitely mimicked on Saturday.
Yeah, that was what surprised me. When he got up around the green, he wedged one straight. I think he wedged one into the water, and then had another go, and then tried the flop shot, and it went. He basically just completely missed the ball, didn't he?
Yeah,
he whiffed.
He basically, I think, he
went underneath the ball. Ball just went bang, straight back down.
No.
The ball, yeah, he was pretty close to it.
I'm going to Google this immediately.
It's gone on the PGA Tour. I believe it's on the PGA Tour Instagram. Right, gentlemen, moving swiftly on. There's a little tournament coming up this week. It's being held in Augusta, Georgia. I mean, it is the star-studded lineup, including someone who none of us thought he would be there because he had an operation on his knee only 3 weeks ago. But, and I quote, Brooks Koepka has registered to play. Here's the quote. "If I knew I was going to finish second, I wouldn't have shown up. I feel I can win. I'll play. I'll be all right." That is probably the most Brooks Koepka thing I think I've ever heard. Yes, I'm coming here to win. I may have no knee, but we're good. I'm still here to beat all of you lot.
It kind of reminds me of the. This is a very old dated reference, so apologies, but it's kind of like the knight from Monty Python that's like fighting someone, gets like both his legs cut off, and then gets an arm cut off, and is like, I'll still have you. That's pretty much what Brooks saying. He's basically playing this week on one leg.
Again, Tim, you've aged you and myself there because I can guarantee Ben has no freaking clue what you're talking about. And I reckon, I don't know, maybe our audience will be split on that. Big question of the day. Do you know any of the Monty Python references? Because if you do, you can join me and Tim. If you don't, you're with Ben.
Can't say I've ever seen an episode. Sorry, boys. And I know that will shock a few people. Yeah, sorry. Right, boys, before we get on to our picks and to see how terrible or great our golf predictions are going to be for the week ahead, have you seen the footage of Bryson hoofing it on the range, giving it absolutely bean?
Yeah.
VJ just standing there chuckling along.
Talking about slow play, he's just hammering. You know how we're told, like, on the driving range, be sensible with your practice. Don't take time between your shots. I reckon there's 12 seconds between each of his drives that he hits at however fast he's hitting them, just hammering. Throw me a ball, boom, straight down. Throw me a ball, straight down, smashing it.
And it's something that me and my golf were talking about it, and I got it from them a couple of years ago, and they said, right, you have a quick speed with your driver, just swing it about 80%. You'll be surprised at how quick that is. Get that in the middle of the fairway. There's no 80% there. That is 100% every time to the max. You know, love it or hate it. It'll be interesting to see how it pans out this time. Went terribly last time. So it'd be interesting to see.
Did it go terribly because it was wayward? Because Augusta's one of those courses that you can hit a bit wayward and be okay.
Not like he was.
Yeah, his wayward was just put him in trouble. And I think there are spots where you can go wayward, but I think it's you know, it's what we spoke about on the DraftKings pod. It's where you said about Patrick Cantlay has been saying, I know I can't hit certain shots to certain places. This is where I don't think Bryson is set to win at Augusta, because he's gone, nah, sod that. I'm doing what I want, and I'm just going to hit game bombs every time. And he's going to play his own game. Right, chaps, coming on to prediction, I kind of set you something that we have done for all previous majors. I've because there's such a stacked field and it is a major, I've given you 2 opportunities to pick the winner, and then I set you one from outside of the world's top 50 at the moment to make the top 10. Yeah. If you're not driving and you do have a moment, feel free to press pause. Just go and check out some of the players that are outside the top 50 in the world at the moment. There's some big names up there, some guys who may be pushing towards the top of the leaderboard. So if you're looking for an outside bet, there's a few guys there that may go well. Just for everyone at home, just recapping the predictions of who we thought we would win prior to start of the year. I went with Xander Schauffele, Tim went with Justin Thomas, and Chris went with Colin Morikawa. So with Morikawa in mind, Mr. Wright, I'm coming to you first. Who do you, well, I've given you two, like I said. Who are your two winners for the week?
Yeah, I've not picked Morikawa. So I would love to pick. I would now love to pick Morikawa. I would love to see him do it. He's just not. He's not been in that vein of form this last 2 months. I don't know, maybe more. I don't know. It's just. I don't think you can ever rule him out completely because he's obviously he's won a major. He's won a major. Like we know he can do it. We know mentally he can do it. I just haven't. I can't. I can't see him doing it this week. So what do you want? My two main picks?
Yeah, give me your two main picks.
100% JT is going to win it. So much so that I've not put him in my fantasy league team, obviously. But JT, I would love to see him win it. I really would, and I think he'll do it. My second, slightly outsider, is Patrick Cantlay. Honestly, I said it in the DraftKings episode. The way he spoke about the course in his pre-interview, the way he's been playing, I think he can win a major, and I think it could be this one.
He's definitely got the game to do it at Augusta, I think. Like you said, if he keeps his head on, he sticks to the plan, I think he's going to be tough to beat. He's played it a couple of times now. The experience is there. Like you said, he knows where he's shooting. So yeah, I think that's not a bad shout. And I think you've sold him and probably yourself a little bit short there by saying that he's not one of the favourites, because I would put him down as
no. I know he's, but if you look at you're looking at the DJs, the Justin Thomas, like the odds on those guys, you're going to get slightly better.
Well, there you go. There's a value pick. If you're looking for a bet, Patrick Cantlay is probably going to be a better bet than the others, if you're looking for value anyway.
Yeah.
Mr. Timothy Williams, who are you going with? Who are your two picks, buddy?
No surprise, Justin Thomas. Couldn't agree more. I think he is the man to beat this week. I think there's a couple of reasons for that. I think firstly, there's a lot to be said for having had adversity thrown your way and overcoming it. He's a player who's had that in abundance so far this season. He's had to overcome some, a lot. Some of it his own making, let's be honest. He's done that. He's won since. And the other reason is, I think of all the big names, I think there's a lot of reasons why I'm not favouring a lot of the other guys. DJ's form has been, I think we can all admit, wobbly for a while. Rory, widely documented, having swing troubles. Brooks is on one leg. Bryson, despite what he thinks, he can't just turn up and bully Augusta. You just don't do it. It doesn't happen. And simply trying to launch your way around the golf course, bomb and gouge, it ain't going to work here. So I just think, and the other one is that Rahm's just, obviously his other half just had a baby. So I think his mind, whether he it's on or not, might be elsewhere. So I just think he's the best placed of all the big names. But I also think, even notwithstanding those other things, he's just in a great position anyway at the moment. And then Spieth, I think he's a momentum player. Right?
Love it.
You win the event in your home state the week before you go to Augusta, and you've already sort of announced that you are back before you've got to the Masters. He's been there. He's done it before. He's also, he's overcome situations of different types of the Masters. Last year he was battling on the second day to make the cut, and I think he saved par on potentially his last hole on the 18th of his second round to make the cut. So he's had different experiences of it. So I just think he's also just in a fantastic position. So yeah, JT and Spieth, they were straight into my fantasy team as well, unsurprisingly.
I have to admit, I absolutely love those two picks. Unfortunately, I couldn't go with Jordan Spieth just because I have backed myself from my pre-2021 prediction. I've backed Xander Schauffele He's got a good record around Augusta. We will talk about how good his game is. Love watching him play. So I've stuck Schauffele in there, backing myself. Although, yeah, I would love to have gotten Spieth in there. And we're going for the full set. Justin Thomas again. Tim's just basically said everything that I wanted to and or needed to say. I just think it's his tournament this week. I know it's very difficult to say, difficult golf course, and every single one of the best players in the world are against him. Just feel like he's got the game at the moment. Right, gentlemen. So I said to you, right, have a look at the World Golf Rankings. I want you to pick someone outside of the top 50 to come into your top 10. Now, if you are listen to this at home, press pause here. Let us know who you think is going to come in. Mr. Wright, I'm coming to you first. Outside the top 50, who's coming top 10, buddy?
Who's coming top 10? Can I take you through the three that I really wanted to put in? Yeah. So I was like, as soon as you said this, I was like, I know exactly who I'm putting in. And I was like, no doubt, it's Will Zalatoris. Will Zalatoris is coming top 10. And I went on to World Golf Rankings as of this week. He's now 46th.
Yep.
Damn, okay, can't choose him. Then I went, Matt Wallace is on some good form at the moment. Let's get him in. Nope, he's at 48. Crap. And I went, he'll definitely go for a top 10. 49. Bollocks. Okay, right. So I don't have those three players. And by the way, I just had to look. Matt Wallace, and I'm now regretting my fantasy league picks slightly. You know how cheap he is on DraftKings? 6,400 for Matt Wallace.
Bargain.
That is a bargain pick. That is interesting. Okay. So I was looking down the official World Golf Rankings, and to be honest with you, the name that stood out was at 52 in the world right now, Jason Day. And I don't think he's playing the most amazing golf in the world. However, I feel like he would, if you're saying outside the top 50 for a top 10 finish, he would be my pick. If he can get his putting together, he would be my pick this week.
I mean, there are some I've got it open now. There are some very, very big names and players from the past, major winners that are currently in between the 50 and the 50 and 100. This one's going to be. This is probably going to be tougher than picking a winner, I think. Anyway, but I quite like Jason Day. I quite like him around Augusta. Timothy.
So I was very, very close to picking Bubba Watson, and
for those at home, Tim is not his biggest fan.
Not his biggest fan. It's fair to say. But I thought, it'll be an interesting one. He'll be in the mix. He will probably. He'll certainly be sort of top 20, I would say.
I love that you went, he will be in the mix. He will be in the mix.
He will. But the WGC match play notwithstanding, his form is pretty toilet at the moment. So I've opted to not go with him, and it will absolutely bite me in the backside. I'm pretty sure of it. I've instead gone for Sebastian Munoz.
I thought about this. I think that's a good pick. Really good pick.
So, but for a final day wobble last time at the Masters, he would have been top 10. I think he finished 19th, tied 19th last time out. He's had a good run since then. 9th at Texas Open, 22nd at Concession. I think he was 9th at the CJ Cup.
He's been playing some really good golf.
No, he's been playing some good golf. I think he's had that experience as well of sort of being there. He knows he can put good rounds together there. Yeah. I believe it's relatively famous that John Rahm had a word with him after his final day wobble last time out, sort of put the kind of comforting arm around him. So yeah, that's my outsider pick for a top 10 place.
I think that's a really strong pick. He was on my list.
I like it. And I liked where you started off with that because I went Bubba Watson, past champion. And I saw it and I was just, whenever I think Bubba Watson and Augusta, I always think back to that big hook out the trees. It's one of my favorite golf shots of all time. And I just think for that alone, I was like, I would love to see him do it because I think when watching Bubba Watson play, he's different to any other golfer on the planet. He plays the game differently and not from a let's just whack it as far as we can. He can do that, but the shape he puts on the ball, I really enjoy watching Bubba. And it's a bit gutting he is so far down the world rankings because he's not a major hitter now. So he doesn't get as much TV coverage. But yeah, so for me, Bubba Watson rounds out the pick, just for those that are interested, if you couldn't be bothered to look outside, look at the 50 to 100. I'm just going to name a few players here. So you've got Brian Harman, who, not necessarily a household name, but he's been playing excellently recently. Jason Day, Gary Woodland, Brendan Todd, Bubba Watson. You've got Ian Poulter up there. You've got Tiger Woods. Charlie Hoffman had another great week. Danny Willett, former Masters champion. All right, you've got some great players outside the top 50. And you can pick, obviously not Tiger, but you can make a case for any of those.
Don't put any money on Tiger for this week.
Yeah, don't bet on Tiger Woods.
Top tip.
Tiger will not be there. Quite a few players have been saying that they already kind of miss him there, which is pretty cool. And
also, what's the cut? It's not 65 this week, is it? I want to say it's like 50.
Yeah, I'm not making any statement on that. I'm going to let you go away and research.
You can have that one.
Thanks for chucking us right under that bus. You can come back to that in just a minute. But for everyone with the picks, obviously check in next week and we'll see how crap our predictions were or how good they are. I'm most interested in the outside the top 50 one, I have to admit. And also good luck for the DraftKings for everyone this week. Right, to bring us home.
I can confirm it's the 50 top 50.
Lovely. That actually could wreak some havoc.
Well, it's a smaller field, isn't it? There's only 80 something players, isn't there?
Yeah, good stats. Nice. Yeah. Right, to bring us home this week, Timbo, I am handing the reins over to you, my friend.
Yeah, so this is absolutely just a bit of silliness to round the pod off. This is not serious at all. To be honest, not got a huge amount to do with golf, if I'm being brutally honest. I just thought we've covered quite a lot of serious stuff. So I thought I'd just round off this week with just a bit of a ridiculous game. Basically, I got the thinking this week with the increasing number of golfers, turning to other things outside of golf to promote or do or turn their hand to. So I suddenly got thinking, I wonder if some of these players hadn't turned out to be professional golfers, what might have they done for an alternate job? So what my little silly game is, I'm going to name 4 players. We'll go one at a time. And I'm just going to ask you, if they weren't a golfer, what do you think job they would do? This is not based on like where they went to college or anything like that. It's just like what sort of job sort of suits their personality. So it's just a bit of fun. There's nothing personal in here at all. It's just for a bit of a laugh. Okay. So first player to put out there. If he wasn't a golfer, what would Tony Finau do? Who wants to go first?
Oh, I mean, I want to say probably the obvious one, in which he would probably be a Mormon, right? Because I know he is big on.
What?
He's, am I right in saying he's big on the Mormon Church?
It's
not really a job.
Yeah, well, is it not? I don't know.
No, Mormon's like it's a version of Christianity.
Yeah, it's a religion.
Yeah, but I thought
is he Mormon?
My understanding of the Mormon religion is very, very bad. So I don't know. I've just heard
based almost entirely on the Book of Mormon, the musical, which, by the way, is outstanding.
Outstanding, yeah. I was going to say that, but then I figured I might sound very stupid. But
you are correct. You are correct. He is a member of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. You are correct.
Is he really?
He is. I mean, it's still not a job.
Definitely not a job. Definitely not a job. But that is interesting.
A preacher of the Mormon Church.
Okay.
I'm in this. This is going to set. This would set me on. Knowing that he's Mormon, I would now put him as a salesman, door-to-door salesman.
Okay. Interesting.
By the way, for the record, there's loads of very, very successful tech companies that are run by Mormons. And my theory of this is going way off. My theory of this is that even if you've seen the musical, they get at a very young age put into what is essentially a sales role of selling Mormonism or becoming a Mormon, doing door-to-door sales, getting doors slammed in your face. If you can do that for however long they do it for, over and over again, selling software or selling anything, it's a piece of piss. So I would, now knowing that, I'd put him as a door-to-door salesperson.
Right. I mean, I can comfortably say that this nice, silly little game has gone down an avenue I never thought it was going to go down. So let's carry on. The next person, if he wasn't a golfer, what job would Jon Rahm do?
Oh, crikey! What would Jon Rahm do?
Come on. Fast responses. This is not a long game.
He would be a bullfighter, 100%. I can imagine him in matador clothing. He would be
purely on the basis that he's Spanish.
In the ring. No, he's just a fiery bloke. He's fairy. He's got it.
To be fair, in wild stereotypes, I was going to go a similar way. I was going to picture him as one of those guys. I don't know what the outfit is called. The Spanish guys playing a guitar in restaurants. Just, you know.
Wow. Nice. Okay.
Just passionate, like, shouty, singy, dancey. Like, yeah.
So Jon Rahm would be serenading you in the middle of your dessert.
And I'd be well up for that. That'd be great.
Interesting. Okay. Moving swiftly on. I'm excited for the next two. So firstly, what would Ian Poulter do if he wasn't a golfer?
He's a postman.
Okay, nice.
He would. I know how much he loves this and he is passionate about this. He would be a fine supercar salesman. He would be selling Ferraris, Lamborghinis, your Porsches, because my God, if you go on his Instagram at any point, you will just be dribbling at his car garage and he will talk until the cows come home about it. And I know he's big on his Formula One, which I don't really care for, but so maybe he would be doing something in Formula One.
That sounds very sensible. That's very sensible.
Very good answer. Okay, and to bring us home on my silly little game that just doesn't mean anything and has run away with us a little bit, I think you might be able to predict who my last person was going to be. If he wasn't a golfer, what would Bryson do?
Oh, crikey. Oh, he would be a science teacher, and he'd be that one teacher who'd be like, oh, for fuck's sake, I don't want to go to this lesson. Every time.
No, you see, I think if he was a science teacher, I think he'd be the one teacher you would want to go to because you'd be like, what the fuck is Bryson going to do? Mr. DeChambeau going to do today? We're going to be blowing stuff up today.
What? Coming home from school. Jimmy, what happened to your school bag? Dr. DeChambeau doing tests again.
Mr. DeChambeau blew it up.
Oh. Well, there you go. That was just a little silly little game just to round off this week's podcast. Thought I'd just give us a very light-hearted end. As I say, it's just a bit of fun, all just a bit of joke, not to be taken seriously in any way, shape, or form.
I've enjoyed it, but also shat my pants because there was a lot of pressure going into that on the sport. That was quite hard.
Now a job.
Hey, mate, Book of Mormon. If you've not seen it, go and see it. Get a ticket. Great West End.
Actually, I'm quite blown away by your player knowledge there. I did not know that.
I can't remember where I've heard it. I think it was through a YouTube video or a podcast that he's been on. But yeah. Anyway, rounding us off, Chaps Masters Week. I cannot wait for this week. I have to admit, moving house. Still got a whole bunch of stuff I need to do, and I've got one day to get it done. So that Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, I can park my ass in front of the TV. Big day Friday. Very big day.
Very big day.
So, guys, go and check it out over on A Slice of Golf on Instagram. We will be updating. Well, hopefully, if it's been an enjoyable round, we will be updating a lot of videos. If you don't see a lot from us, it's probably because one of us has killed the other one, and we're not getting very well. Check back in next week for an update on how good or bad it went. Chaps, anything more to add?
No, nothing from me.
Thank you ever so much for tuning in. We will catch you guys soon.
See ya.
Cheers.